Hello, good morning.
As us men age, we get excited about wood in a different way.
We do.
As we get, I'm talking about this kind of wood. I don't know what you're thinking. Rude. But I don't know if you've noticed, but over the last year or so, Shaun's kind of found a talent with his wood. Haven't you?
I know how it fits together.
He's like a wood wizard.
I'm not an expert, but it works.
I think he takes after his dad, and I don't know if he realises this, because his dad had a woodshed, didn't he?
He did, yes.
With all bits of wood that he never really used, but he saved them because one day he might come in handy.
He used to collect them as he went out.
But Shaun is doing something with his wood.
Yeah.
Do you want to show us round? So tell us about your lovely workshop.
My lovely workshop, all made of lovely wood.
You can hear noises. I'm standing on crisp wrappers.
He is.
Shaun's got a thing for cheese and onion, hasn't you?
First thing we needed was shelves, and I still don't have enough. I've still got to build some more, I think, on that side over there.
If you saw a reel that we did, or a YouTube short about a week ago, I asked how many shelves you needed, and you said
100.
And how many have you built?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-ish.
11, so only 89 now.
Yeah, only 89 to
You
go.
needed 92 last time.
It was.
Right, so how have you built your shelves?
I made it up as I went along, really.
Don't say that. People are supposed to think you know what you're doing.
I built a frame and then just put wood in it, and yes, made shelves and little supports in there, and like as you can see here, just bits of wood that we had left over. And these are literally bits of wood, apart from these.
It is really solid though. Give it a shake to show how solid it is.
That will not move.
And the overacting award of 2024 goes to...
It will not move.
Onto the workbench then.
This.
I am actually impressed with this. This is a nice bit of solid workbench.
It is. It's nearly an inch thick. It really is. And it's loads of room for me to do my work. All my screwdrivers, my screws, my power tools, hammers, everything's here. It's absolutely awesome. Really is.
How long is it?
I've got no idea. I never measured it. I just built it.
And the workbench?
Same.
But we haven't just built, or you haven't just built this little workshop in here, have you?
I haven't. I did Colin's bee workshop as well. Let's go.
Show us my new bee workshop.
It's just through here.
Oh, look at this.
Same sort of bench. His original bench is over there, which I'll show you in a minute. And I built a little wall there.
This is brilliant.
With
you know
some
what this
little
reminds
shelves
me of?
in there.
This reminds me of Harvey Nichols.
Harvey Nichols?
Yeah, it's because it's rustic but expensive looking.
Expensive looking.
Look at my little shelves. By the way, I'm saying shelves on purpose because I know people will like to be pedantic and pick me up on that. These little shelves are ace.
Yeah.
And it's just solid.
It's solid. Absolutely solid. It will not move.
So what else have you done in here?
In here, that's it really. Well, I've cleared the shells. All these were my old shells, and they're now basically holding the unbuilt supers.
Honey jars.
And honey jars and everything. Those shells will soon be empty, which will give Colin loads more space to put all his knickknacks and stuff.
And beehives.
Beehives here, yes. As we go through here, we've got our little wood store, our emergency wood store. More wood and beehives that have not yet been built. Colin's got a task on, he's got to build these yet. And through here, this dark and dingy little place was Colin's original little workshop.
This was all I had. This was my bee bar.
It was. This is all he had, and this bench is all he had, and it's a little bit too high as well. I built it a little bit too high. So now this is just Colin's storeroom. And if you look above my head, it's full of nuke supers.
Polynukes.
Nuke polynukes, or whatever they're called, I don't know.
Nuke Polly.
Nuke pollies. So that's all stored up there. So he's got plenty of storage in here.
So how much did it all cost?
Nothing.
How come it didn't cost anything?
Because it's all left over from Sherlock's Muse.
How long have we been hearing that it's wood left over from Sherlock's? How come we got so much wood left over from Sherlock's Muse when we actually built Sherlock's Muse a little bit bigger than we first planned?
Because I can't measure properly and I can't count.
It's true. He actually did measure properly, but
Yes.
we all measure in like feet and inches and metres. Shaun was measuring in handspans and furlongs. Weren't you?
I just thought I'd get a little bit extra just in case.
A little bit extra. We could have built a house, we could have built some cabins and rented them out, I think, with all this wood.
There's still a little bit left.
So there's 3 reasons why we've built the workshop.
Yes.
One of them is, I think, the one that got us started building it.
Because we can never, ever find anything. The barn has become sort of a dumping ground for things we've got no space for to store in the house. For instance, screwdrivers, all sorts, they just got chucked in here and then you can never find them.
No, we come to it's like, oh, have you seen so-and-so? Oh, yeah, it's in one at Barnes. And you just think, I'm not even going to bother because I'll never find it in that lot. I think the other thing is what you said about the tools. Because when we were on Silver Fox, we had a really good set of tools, didn't we? We had a tidy toolbox and a set of spanners and a set of and all the other stuff. And then since we moved here, it's like you take a screwdriver to do a job in the house and then it don't go back into the barn because it's raining and you don't want to go out and get wet.
Yeah.
So all the tools end up all over.
Yeah, they do.
And then that gets really frustrating because what am I supposed to do without my butt chisel or my finger joints? I can't do my job unless I've got my lump hammer. Lump hammer were my nickname at school.
Why?
Oh, you don't want to know why. What were yours?
Foxy.
Oh, cute little Foxy. Oh, you were a little weren't you?
I was.
He was a little I've forgotten what we were talking about. All right, reasons that we were building the workshop.
Dumping ground.
So we've given you 2 reasons. The third reason is it's going to come in really handy because we've got some projects lined up for this year. We're in the train barn.
Woo! Not many trains.
There's not many trains, is there? We've been waiting ages for a train. And then probably sometime in 2028, 6 will come along at once. Now, there hasn't been a lot of things going on in here because if you remember, one of the roof rafters had broken off, literally broken off. So we were having to replace that. And then when we replaced that, we found out that there was a section of the roof about 6 foot across that had no supporting rafters at all. Now, we got the wood and luckily last weekend, a very nice neighbour and his son came round and helped us. And we finally got the roof fixed. That is much better.
Much better.
Now, because the roof has moved a little bit, because the supports have pushed it back up into place, we've actually got a couple of leaks right from the top. But they're from the outside and we can easily fix that. We can get on the roof now and we can get those sealed up. So that's not going to be an issue.
No.
The next step now is to move all this Caithness stone out of the barn. And what we're going to do, because people were saying, oh, sell it and it's worth it. We don't want to do that.
We're going to use it.
Loads of things we can use it for. We're actually going to build a path between the barns.
Yes, because it can get muddy in the winter.
Which winter for us lasts from like December through till November the following year, doesn't it? So it can get a bit muddy. So we're going to build a path along the barns to the house. That's what we're going to do it for. Well, I say we're going to build a path. Some of these will weigh, I would guess, upwards of like half a ton.
Yes, easy.
And with my back and Shaun's knees, that's not going to happen.
We need the Hulk.
So, yeah, basically, if you want to come and help us, and you look like this, and are willing to work for tea, biscuits, and friction, then get in touch and we might be able to help you. If you want to help us, that's the deal, I think, isn't it? Once we've got the stone out of the way, we've got to dig about a foot down. So it's just soil, because it used to be there used to be animals in here.
Yeah.
So it's just soil underneath, and we need to dig about a foot down, which for the whole area of the barn works out at 9 cubic metres of soil, which is a lot.
We're going to build a hill.
Yeah, if anybody wants any soil. So we've also got a little bit of machinery on its way that hopefully is going to make that job a little bit easier.
We have, yes.
Once we've got that, we can start thinking about putting membrane and sand and the concrete floor down.
Yes.
So hopefully we can make a start on that in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Before we do that, we have
more work.
We have got a bit of a more urgent job that we need to take care of.
Yes. Excuse the noise.
The chickens are literally right down in this corner here. As you might have guessed, we're down by the chicken enclosure.
Yes.
Because we've got a job to do that is a bit of a priority. We've got to do it before we do the train barn. Now, you might remember from the vlog, I don't know, was it last year or the year before that we finished this?
Just last year, yes.
Where we built a 300 square metre enclosure for the chickens so that they could roam about while the bird flu restrictions were in force. Because normally we allow them out on the croft, but during the restrictions we had to keep them fenced in. So we built this 300 square metre enclosure for them.
And that's where they've stayed, really, isn't it?
And that's where they stay. But if you live in the UK, you've probably noticed it's been a bit of a wet winter. And because of the really short, dark days that we get up here in the winter, the chickens are not often out around the croft. No. They're usually within their enclosure. Yeah. And because it's been so wet, it really looks like a bomb's hit it.
They've destroyed it.
There's no grass left, there's nothing green for them, they're basically just picking about in dirt, which they don't seem to mind because we let them out and we give them greens and they're happy, but it just doesn't look very nice.
They love it.
So what we've decided to do is extend the enclosure. So we are basically right on the edge of their current enclosure.
Yeah.
And we're going to extend it, we're going to double its size. So everything you can see behind us is going to be part of the new enclosure. Now you can see there's lots of gorse.
That's got to come out.
Which has got to come out, but there's lots of grass and it should be quite easy just to extend the fence that we've got around. And it will actually more than double the size of the area they've got for the enclosure, from just over 300 square metres to just under 800 square metres, which is a lot of space, which they're probably still going to destroy within like 2 weeks.
We'll just let them use one part at a time. We're going to have it in 2 sections.
And
oh, another thing, what?
One of the benefits of doubling the size of the enclosure and having it right on the edge of the croft where they've got all this land to go and explore is it means we can get our next guests.
Our next guest? Oh, yes! Yes!
Just behind where we're stood, there's a flat little piece of land which just has enough of a dip in it that we can dig that out and we're going to create a pond. It's only going to be a small pond, but it only needs to be a small pond. It's probably going to be about 15 feet long, maybe 5 or 6 feet wide.
Yeah, not big.
But it's going to be big enough to put a little duck house, and then we're going to get some Indian running ducks. Because again, it's right on the edge of the croft. So when it's safe for them, we can let them out and they've got all of the croft. There's acres and acres for them to explore. There's a little burn down at the bottom and they can live quite happily with the chickens.
They can, yes.
So that will form part of the next project. I can't wait for the Indian running. I've just got this image of them.
You're pitter-pattering about. Yeah. Where you can see this strainer post here, I'm just going to carry this fence on all the way down to the bottom down there. But first, I've got to clear a run down here so I can secure the fence down into the ground, because where Colin stood holding the camera, he stood on an old dry stone wall there's not a lot left of it, so I've just basically got to follow that line. And here the pond is going to be, so it's going to all look lovely with rocks about and a little duck house and everything, so it's going to be quite pretty. This is the old dry stone wall here, this hump. So I'm going to take the fence down here. All this gorse here is on, all this bracken has to be cleared so that the hens and the ducks can enjoy this area.
We've come, I can't get Indian running ducks out of my head now. Or horses. We're up on another piece of land on the croft.
Yes.
Which It's about 400 square metres big.
Yeah.
And we've not done anything with it, to be honest, because we've not been sure what we can do with it. Now, it's got the beehives in one corner of it.
Just a little corner.
But there's not much else. It's quite flat, but it's not soil. It's quite...
it's more hardcore sort of stuff, isn't it?
Kind of sandy and gravelly, so we can't
rocky.
plant anything in it, but
No.
we don't want to plant anything in it. And it's kind of been like this since we moved in.
Yeah.
Now, in the house we lived in before this one, like before Narrowboat Silver Fox, it's like millennia ago.
I were only 12.
Shaun used to have an allotment. I didn't know they rented out allotments to 12-year-olds.
It were awesome.
I say allotment. It wasn't awesome when you first got it.
God, no, it was a dumping ground, an absolute dumping ground full of plastic, glass. It was knee deep in glass, and I had to move it all. I mean, from the photos, you would never think that I would get to where it got, because it was awesome when it was finished, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it took him like a whole summer just to get it in a condition where you could start planting stuff. And what were you growing?
I was growing all sorts, onions, potatoes, carrots, cabbages. I had raspberries in there, rhubarb,
to be honest,
strawberries, everything.
The wasps and the rats got most of it, to be honest. But
oh, yeah. One year, I planted, I don't know how many reams of corn, and the rats had every single one of them.
Yeah, I don't think we got one.
No.
Is it not an ear of corn?
Ear of corn, yeah. Sorry, not a ream.
I don't think we got one. I think we took a photo. I think we bought one from Tesco and took a photograph of it, but it wasn't really ours, was it? But anyway, the moral of the story is that he loved his allotment,
and I'm going to do it again,
and he wants to do it again. But the problem is we did talk about it before, and the issue around here is the deer. They are ravenous.
They eat everything.
And a lot of landowners have big deer fences, basically to keep the deer out or in, whichever one you want to do.
Yeah.
And it always worked out that it just wasn't cost effective for us to grow vegetables or fruit, because the cost of protecting it from the deer and building the planters and everything, it was just cheaper just to buy the stuff from the shops or the market. But
I'm building some planters. They're going to be quite big. They're going to be probably 10 foot long by 6 foot wide, and to protect the plants and the veg from the deer, I'm going to build like a steel mesh frame similar to the mesh that's on Sherlock's Muse, so that the mesh is wide enough so the bees can get in there and the deer can't.
that wind's definitely getting up. Although it's lovely and sunny. And because the days are now longer than the nights again, which I think we're all grateful for, I thought it would be a good time to put the wildlife cameras back out. Now, I've chosen about half a dozen different types of places this spring. One is out in a woodland, which is about half a mile behind you. And I know that we get a lot of roe deer and red deer and foxes, and I think I've seen a pine marten in there as well. We've got a couple around by the badgers set, which has really increased in size over the last year since the new cubs were born last year. And then one of the places I thought I'd put one this year, which we haven't had one before, is right next to the burn. The burn goes up and down when it rains. The level fluctuates quite a lot. But I do see a lot of wildlife down here. I've seen pine martens down here. There's herons and ducks and all sorts of birds. But I thought I'd put a cam just where I know that two deer runs converge. So I know the deer use it as a crossing point, and they also stand there and drink from the burn too. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we get some good footage from this. I'm going to leave the cams out for probably a good month or two, maybe 3 months. Maybe check them once every couple of weeks, look at the batteries, and then I'm going to put all the footage together and show you what we get in a couple of months. Just think, by the end of this year, we'll have chickens' eggs, we'll have ducks' eggs. Is it true that duck eggs are blue?
I think it depends on the duck.
I thought it were like what they eat, because I thought flamingos eat shrimp and that's why they're pink. So I thought No, it's true, innit?
I've no idea.
And so I thought ducks might eat like blueberries. Do you know what I mean? Or I don't know, because that makes their eggs. But I don't know.
It worries me sometimes. That mind worries me.
So we'll have chickens' eggs and duck eggs.
Yes.
And we'll have, I don't know, half a dozen flavours of marmalade.
Yes.
And we'll have honey.
Yes.
And we'll probably have some jams.
We will.
And we'll have fresh strawberries.
Yeah.
And we'll have vegetables.
We will.
We'll have fruit coming out of his ears. Well, you've got potatoes growing in yours.
Ow, he's pulling the air in my ears.
Are you going to be all right doing all this? Because we've got the soak away to do, and we've got I'm going to need help with the bees at some point. You know what you like?
I might need to have a lie down now and then.
Pushing 70. Anyway, that's it for this week. So we've got a busy summer ahead.
We have.
Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep on top of what's going on.
Yes.
And keep on top of me if you want. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video, or the thumbs down if you really didn't give a toss. We don't care, do we?
No, I don't care.
And the wibbly wobbly notification bell if you'd like YouTube to let you know every time we release a new video. If you want to help support the channel, I should stop doing these at my age. 38's a delicate age for my physiology.
I know, and that's an important wrist.
I use my left one actually for that. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member.
You can.
Now, you get all sorts of exclusive content, mostly from Shaun.
Mostly from, I post loads of rubbish on there.
He's posted so many photos of his wood over the last few weeks, haven't you? People are loving it. But you get all sorts of exclusive content. You get early access to some of the vlogs.
You do.
And you get just treats, really.
You get discounts and all sorts.
It's like when your other half brings you something nice back from the shop that you weren't expecting.
And you go,
isn't it?
ooh.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. So do that. The details are in the video description, or there might have been a link up above Shaun's head.
There could have been.
Right, are you getting cold?
Yeah, my nips are showing.
No. They are actually, aren't they? Do you want me to warm them up for you?
They're cold.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.